Hey, Jerry.
Ben Howland a moment ago said you guys are clearly the favorite going into the season. You got everybody back from the team that both champs last year. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's easy to say that because of the fact that we've got more scoring back and more players back in terms of percentage. But again, we know that it's different than we were a year ago. This time of year, for certain, the fact that a year ago nobody really wanted to talk to us very much because we were picked 13th, and now that people think that we're capable of winning the league. But the fact is, we addressed it with our guys. I'm telling you, a week after the NCAA tournament was over last year, we showed them teams that had great years and were expected to be good the following year, and they came back and didn't do anything. And so we let them know that early, back in the spring, and we talked about that we're not going to be able to start over. Start where we left off last year in the NCAA tournament. We're going to have to earn our way back like everybody else. And from that point on, that's, again, we've gone, I think, like every team in the country, just trying to get better at what we do. We've looked at each player on our team and analyzed where they were, talked about what we thought they needed to do to get better, and we're going to play the same kind of schedule we've played since we've been in Knoxville, but we've got to go earn it, and nothing's going to be given to anybody in this league, and it's easy to talk about everybody coming back, this and that, but the fact is it doesn't mean anything unless we go out and get better like we've tried to do every day.
Next is back to the television cameras.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC probably as strong as ever. How have you seen the conference elevate its game, kind of stature among the nations of league conferences?
I do think, again, going into my fourth year in the SEC, I do think that it's probably, from a talent standpoint, the deepest that it's ever been. I think that you're starting to see some of the recruiting over the last my 4 years in the league where it's starting to take place and take hold, and I think that's a credit to not only the coaches in the league but players that have chosen to come into this league, and so I do think that from top to bottom it will be as good as it's ever been. But again, it's easy to make that pick. I think anybody can do that, and John does an outstanding job. He always does, and his teams have always gotten better. I think they'll be better earlier in the year because, it seems like every year, he's having to start with 5, 6 new guys, and he does an amazing job getting them better as the year goes on. But with the fact he's got some guys coming back, he's going to be starting ahead of where he has in the past. And so, again, I think Kentucky's going to be as good as any basketball team in the country. There's no doubt that the success that we've had there goes straight to my assistant coaches. They have done a phenomenal job. I don't know. Obviously, growing up in North Carolina, spending time at Clemson, very familiar with that area over the years. But it goes back to Rob Lanier, Mike Schwartz, and Desmond Oliver. Those guys have done just a terrific job doing their job and getting us involved with the players in that state. And DJ came in a year early and reclassified. And when you think about it, he should only be a senior in high school. It's pretty phenomenal the way he's already starting to change his body. But he's got a long way to go. He knows it because he knows from a physical standpoint he still has to improve. From a mental standpoint, might be the biggest adjustment he's going to have to make. And we'll wait and see how everything plays out this year. But there is no doubt that we think he's going to be a big part of the future of our program. Well, I think when we look back on our time at Tennessee, Rob, I think the fact is that Kyle Alexander, Admiral Schofield, Lamonte Turner, and when you throw in Brad Woodson and Lucas Campbell, those are the guys that have really laid the foundation. Because when you go into a program, I don't care what the situation was before you got there, you're going to make changes, and you're going to try to build the culture that you want in place. And so you start with guys that and I will always be thankful to Kevin Punter because he was the one player that was in the program that truly bought into what we really wanted to see in terms of guys putting more and more time in the gym, coming in, working above and beyond what we had asked them to do. But Admiral and Kyle and Lamonte were the ones that really helped lay the foundation that we have in place today.
Next is on the right side, front row.
I know the plan is to try to win every game you will play. As a 3 seed last year, I know a lot of Tennessee fans were hoping you all would be in Nashville. You could ship to Dallas. Can you try to reiterate that you all can make life easier, your players can make life easier for themselves if you win enough games? I think there's a first and second round in Columbia, South Carolina this year. Do you all try to drive that point home, or I know that's the luxury that you can be good enough to be able to have the manage?
You know, personally as a coach, I don't talk about those things because I just want to control what we can control, and that's what you talked about, trying to win every game we can win. And I think if you do that, it's going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. But I think players, are they aware of it? I don't know. And I'm being very honest with you right now. I don't even know where the national championship game is next year. I really don't. And you just told me that. I didn't know that, because I just know that every day, and we try to teach our guys this, you start over every single day with everything that we do in life. And we've tried to drill that with our guys, and let's not worry about anything down the road. Let's just worry about what we can control today. That's all we have. And we have really tried to build that with our guys. And so obviously you want to have a favorable bracket that you can get, but that, again, I've got so much confidence and trust in that NCAA basketball committee. I think they're always going to do the right thing. And again, I've never questioned them ever in terms of what they do, because they do what they have to do. But with our players, we've never talked about that with them. Minneapolis? I'd like to get there.
Middle second row, Jerry.
Admiral put his name in, tested the waters, came back. There's a lot of guys throughout the league that did that. How do you think that kind of experience and feedback from the NBA for these players can impact the quality of the league and the competition?
Well, first of all, I think it's great that they get to do that to start with. It's in place for guys that, I mean, that's every player that you have on your team, that's their ultimate goal, is one day to be a professional basketball player. And the fact that they get there, because after this year, it's for real. And the fact that they have some experience going through what it's like to go in and try out for a team and find out those things. And I think it can also help you with your teams when they come back. And Admiral came back, and I know he talked to players and said, hey, felt like he was totally prepared for that situation. But with what we do in our program, which obviously as a coach and staff makes you feel good about your players understanding that you're doing everything you can to help them not only be successful where we are right now, but we know that their futures are important to them, and that's our job as coaches, to help them. And so I think the fact that those guys have gone through that and they come back, do I think it's a benefit? I think it can really be a benefit. And, you know, a guy like Grant Williams could be put in that same situation this year. And I've always believed that guys have to know what's out in front of them, what they're working for. And so when Admiral came to us about wanting to do this, we were all for it, because we felt it was something that he needed to do, because like I said, at the end of this year now, it's for keeps. And the fact that he's garnered some of that experience, I think will help him going forward.
Your left side, front row.
Coach Barnes, Lamonte Turner's finished first couple of high school seasons in my area. How has he grown in your program? I know he was a total sixth man of the year in 2018. What do you expect out of him this season?
Well, he's grown in so many ways. I mean, we've watched him grow up as a person, and the fact that he's got a great passion. He's got a great love for this game. I mean, he is one of those guys that we have that we would say is in our core group of guys that want to be in the gym every single day, and he really does want to get better. And we don't consider him a sixth man. I mean, he's as much a starter on our team as anybody. He could start any and every game, but what we know about him, and I think it's really valuable. I think it's the players probably want to start, but the fact is he's been very unselfish in the fact that he says, hey, whatever I have to do to help our team win. And what we know about him, that when he comes off the bench, he's going to bring us some fire. Some way he's going to come in the game, and he's going to impact it, and we absolutely know that from him. And you want that from a player. I could say we could switch some guys around, and how would this guy respond coming in off the bench? We might not be able to say what I just said about Lamonte. But we know Lamonte is going to impact the game. We know he's going to come in and be aggressive. He's going to do what he needs to do on the defensive end to help us. But like I said, we don't look at him as being the sixth man, because he could be as much a starter as anybody.
In the middle of the TV cameras.
Coach, you mentioned before that the biggest and hardest jump comes between a player's sophomore and junior year. How have you seen Grant
Well, I think the big thing with him is he's not satisfied with where he is. I mean, the one thing as a team, you know, we had a year that people probably didn't expect, but it's nothing. I mean, we wanted to go out and felt like we could win every game we played, and I can tell you the disappointment that we felt as a team, as a program, and you look at him, and like we did with every player, we said, okay, here's where you are. You've got to continue to get yourself in phenomenal physical conditioning. And he's worked harder to do that, and he still has to continue to work at that. And we looked at all parts of his game and said, we want you to expand your game and do some different things. And I think that's important for him going forward. But he's embraced it all. He really has, and he's worked hard to, again, be better conditioned. He's worked hard but he knows that he can never forget who he is and the kind of player that has been successful. You know, I guess people would call him an undersized post player. He's not that. Grant Williams is a basketball player. He can do a lot of different things on the basketball court, but he still has to play to areas that he's really good at. He's got to know on the court where he's good, and even though he's worked to expand his game, he can't get away from what he's been good at. Well, the biggest thing as a coaching staff we wanted to do was to really challenge guys to get out of their comfort zone. And we've never believed in putting players in a box. And so we've asked Jordan Bowden, we've asked Kyle Alexander, Derek Walker, John Fulkerson, guys that we think can do more. We actually used the term with them, we don't want you to hide. We don't want you to hide behind Admiral. We don't want you to hide behind Grant. We don't want you to hide behind Lamonte Turner, guys that we know that are willing to go out and try to score baskets and go get some things done. And so we've tried to put those guys in different situations in the off season. And it wasn't just physically, but it was probably more so mentally to get guys, again, out of their comfort zone and get them to understand that they can do far more. And we want to see them do that. And so we've asked them to challenge themselves to help, again, because the better they become, the better our team will be. What do you, I didn't.
The way you had your roster set up with youth, a nice blend of youth and experience, returning your top six back, is this kind of ideal from that standpoint?
Yeah, one thing we said we wanted to do when we got to Tennessee was simply this: we want to get old. And then we know if we can get old, and we knew and we could have some success, it would change our recruiting. And you know as well as anybody, we've always tried to go after the best players, but when you're not having the success that most players want to be a part of, it's harder. But now that we've had success and we're older and our recruiting, and we're able to, it's improved, obviously, in terms of people having more of an interest because of where we are right now. But we also know that we're not going to get away from the core of what our program is about. We have a core group of guys that we think that we want to have older guys in our program every year, and then you start supplementing that with players, and some of them could be there a year, 2 years, whatever it may be. But the fact is, we've got our program old, and we want to stay old. What are you asking me? Well, cheating has always been in basketball, as in every sport, and in business. I mean, we could talk about the business world. We could talk about anything. It has been, and regardless of what comes out, it's bad for our game. We all know that. We know it's bad. But whatever comes out of it, I was asked this question this morning, do I think it's going to stop cheating? I don't think it will, because I think that people that want to cheat are going to cheat. What I want people to understand is not everybody cheats, and no one should come up and say that it's widespread in college basketball. It's not. It's not. And coaches have been doing this as long as I have. Believe me, we know when you're in a recruiting situation what's going on. We all know it. And if anybody stood here and said he didn't know it, they're not being truthful. We all know it. And the fact of the matter is you choose to stay in it or you choose to get out. And so that's what it gets down to. But do I think it's going to stop? I don't think it will ever stop, because I just think there's too much at stake. And I can only tell you this. Basketball has been really, really good to me. I've been in this business for over 40 years, and I can tell you without question, there are so many guys in this business that have done this thing the right way. And I'm not one of those people that I don't sit at home and I'm worrying about it. I don't. You know, because here's what I do know. There is enough players out there for all of us. You just have to figure out what works for you, and you have to go get it. You choose to do it one way, or you choose to do it the other way. And like I said, do I think what's coming with this is going to stop it? I don't, because I don't think it's been going on for 60 years, and I don't think it'll stop with what's going on here. If somebody wants to do it that way, somebody's going to do it that way.
Second row in the middle, Jerry.
You mentioned the emphasis on getting older, having older players. What do older players bring that younger players can't?
Well, from a conditioning standpoint, in practice time, you could take older guys and be on the floor as long as you want to, but they don't need it, you know. And what you can do with them, you can actually do more with them because they can pick up things quicker. You can add more to your defense. You could probably add more to your offense if you wanted to do it. Younger players can't take the physical, mental demands of it, and they probably need all you can give them, but they can't take it. So you do have to move slower with a younger group of guys. I go back. That's why I've always admired what John has done with his teams. You see, you see it. They get better as the year goes on because he starts slow with them, then he keeps building and bringing them. And but with an older group, you normally can start out a little bit further along, and then the key is that you keep them to where they want to stay hungry with it. They want to continue to get better. You make sure that they keep their mind on the right thing, and that the one thing, and that's about the chemistry and what you're trying to get done with the team.
Front row in the middle.
What did you see out of Tremont Waters last year, and how were you guys able to kind of pen him in?
Well, you know, he's an explosive player. You know he's dangerous from the time he crosses that hash mark. He's got deep range and can do a lot with the basketball. And I think that you know what we try to do with every guard that we play against, you know, it gets a lot of attention, and not just from one guy. What's up, AD? You haven't embarrassed me today, have you? But so we give him a lot of attention. We do, but it's not just one guy. We don't ever ask one guy to guard one guy one-on-one. It's always a team concept of the way we try to go at it.
Next one's on the back left side.
Where is it? Oh, go give it to me.
So, Coach, what is your philosophy on conditioning after a long practice? Do you believe that 17 is the most?
Well, my first philosophy that I went against, I recruited 2 fat boys. And with that in mind, I had to go buy extra strength Versa climbers to hold them and get them on it. That was
We use the word big nowadays.
big, yeah. Well, you are big now, but at one time you were fat.
Okay, last question, front row on the right.
John Calipari calls you a brother, and a brother, but you obviously mean a lot to him. Can you detail your old relationship from your side of things?
Well, John means a lot to me. I mean, I've known him. We've grown up in this business together more so than maybe people think. I met John back in 77, 78 at the University of Pitt's basketball camp with Tim Gergerich. And John had just transferred from Wilmington back to Clarion. And from the time you think about it, we both got into business. I'm at Providence, he's at UMass, and he's a person that I trust, and he's a guy that I really believe this. If I need something, if I called him and asked him for it, he wouldn't ask me why, what. He would say, you name whatever it is. And I know that he cares a lot about it, what he's doing. I know he's got a great passion for this game. I know he wants to see this game. I know he wants to protect this game. And I've been around he and Frank Martin, and I'm telling you, I know their love for this game. And the fact is, they want to protect this game. But John, I think oftentimes that he's been accused of things that aren't true, and I will say that. But what I do know about him is I consider him a brother. I really do. And like I said, and he's someone that I know that would he actually, before I took this job, he was a guy that called me and told me, you need to take this job. He said, you need to do that. And and he told me all the right reasons about it, and told me, and he spoke nothing but great things about the University of Tennessee and what he thought it could be. And so for that, for many reasons, but he'll always be a special person to me.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you guys.